Okay, I'd like to call this brown bag meeting to order at 11:31 on Tuesday, January 12th. Dr. Versta.
Yes, good morning, board members, and welcome to 2021, and welcome to our first board work session of this new school year. And we know that January is Board Appreciation Month, and just want you guys to know we normally do that at our regular meeting, which is a week from today in the evening. And so we do have some really great plans to recognize, acknowledge, and honor your commitment to service to our communities. And so with that, to start off our work session today, I would like to introduce Ms. Janice Hernandez, who's going to lead us in our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance this morning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Versta. Please rise. Let us reflect on how to best serve the students and staff of Southwest ISD in today's meeting. Allow us to work together well, to listen and respect each other's talents and skills, and to be watchful and mindful of the responsibilities we hold as a governing body. May we rejoice in the privilege of watching our students grow into enlightened citizens of the community, and may we maintain focus on the dreams and aspirations of those we serve. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let me catch my wind here a little bit. It's funny, I was so used to when we did the Texas pledge.
Yeah.
We would do it this way, and Mark would always be to my left, and he would use the cheat card. So his head was always facing down. And today when I looked to my right, I saw the cheat card, and of course I thought about Mike, so I'm sure he's here with us. Okay. Number 3, do we have anybody signed up for public comments?
I do not believe we have anyone signed up, no,
Okay,
sir.
Mona says no, hearing none. Okay, next, I would like the board's permission to skip to number 8, which is closed session. And then we'll pick back up with number 4. Do I have any opposition of moving on to number 8? You'll see why when we get into number 8, okay? Okay, hearing none, we're going to jump to number 8, closed session pursuant to Government Code 551.04 and pursuant to Texas Open Meetings Act Government Code Chapter 551, subchapters D and E. We will now go into closed session at 11:34. Okay, we'll reconvene in our regularly scheduled brown bag at 12:15. And we'll go straight into number 4, consider approval of resolution requesting Governor Abbott to include public school district personnel in the official expert vaccine allotment panel's definition of frontline workers.
Yes, sir. As you'll see in your packet that we actually have 2 resolutions that we're bringing to the board for potential action today. I'll let Randy come get into the meat of this, but I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
But the resolution has 14 whereas. We're not going to read the whole thing to you, but just explain what this does. This is asking the board to approve a resolution supporting, recognizing all Southwest ISD educators as frontline workers in order to encourage our state leaders, our governor, to put them within the sync of the vaccine distribution in that regard. And so I don't know if Fran wants to add any more to that.
Well, you pretty much covered it all. It's really
Let me introduce you, Brandon.
yeah.
Thank you, Brandon.
So Governor Abbott has put together a group called EVAP, and they're the Expert Vaccine Allocation Panel. And they've come up with criteria on who should get the vaccine first, second, third, and they've created some groups. And so school districts across the state of Texas. This is led by representative, a member of the State Board of Education, Ruben Cortez, asking districts to pass a resolution and sending it to Governor Abbott to basically recommend that, school employees should be frontline workers as we ask schools to stay open through the pandemic.
Absolutely.
So really, that's the nuts and bolts of it, of this resolution, so that we can stay united across the state of Texas school districts, and then give this to Governor Abbott to
When I get to number 8.
And it includes all employees in district.
That is the recommendation.
Any questions?
I move.
Excuse me, what was it? I missed it.
This is a resolution to consider employees of the school district to be frontline workers,
Okay.
to get in front of the line for the vaccine as it comes available.
Thank you.
Consider to help.
Okay, that's great.
That they be in either category 1A or 1B when it comes to vaccine distribution.
Well, can I ask a question? Are we making it mandatory for the employees or is it just their option?
No, we cannot make it mandatory.
Just making-
Okay, we do have a motion to approve by Yolanda Garza Lopez. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Number 5, consider approval of resolution, no, we just did that. Consider approval of resolution on COVID extended leave.
Yes, so if you recall, back in the spring, the federal government came up with what we call the FFCRA, which basically laid out and mandated that small businesses, everybody that has employees offer COVID leave. And there's different criteria on how you would receive the COVID leave, whether you're quarantined or if you actually tested positive or if you were a caretaker. And so that was a mandate. I want to share with the board that wasn't a funded mandate. So districts and small businesses would take on the burden of that. If you were a business, you got a tax credit. So where you make some funding would be in you do your taxes if you're a small business owner or a business owner. We do not pay taxes, and so there's no tax credit for the school districts. Well, that leave was put into place until December 31st, 2020. And we were waiting around, hopefully, right before the break to see if they were going to extend that. So there was another CARES Act kind of deal made during that time period, but the FFCRA was not extended. What they did offer for individuals and for businesses and for groups is to extend it to March, to spring break, and still receive the tax credit. Well, that didn't really benefit us, and so what we're doing is we want to create our own kind of COVID leave. Many school districts across Bear County are doing the same thing across the state of Texas and probably across the nation. It's similar. It's not FFCRA, but it's our own local leave. We were funding it anyways, and so this will provide 10 days, just like the FFCRA did, to those individuals, whether they get quarantined because of contact tracing and exposure, or if they actually test positive, or if they're a caretaker. If this is extended based on the fact that you didn't use it already, because part of one of the criteria was that if you had it and you used it, then you didn't get another set of 10 days. I will tell the board that we do also offer local sick leave, and the state offers state days. And so if you're a brand new employee, you get 10 days already. So you get 5 state days and 5 local leave. If you're an employee that's been in the district or with districts for a long time, you probably have a bucket of state days. This was to put into place to help those so they don't burn through those. But at the same time, if you didn't have many days left, this is another blanket or umbrella.
A layer.
And so we're asking the board to allow the district to create these regulations and create this COVID leave to get us through this spring. Yes, sir.
So they don't have to go through that bucket first. They can
Correct.
use
And
these
this is
first.
just so like if you have a surgery for something else, you're gonna use your sick days that we give you for your local leave. If this is a COVID related issue, then this is where this
Okay,
thing
I
takes
like
place.
that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So someone asked me not that long ago, so what about when we quarantine, like, the contact tracing, and then we ask an employee to go home? Where do, Do we pay for that or?
Yes, so there's a couple, and I know Mr. Baker's here, he handles this
Mhm.
directly. So I don't know if you want to answer it or you want me to answer it. Yeah, Mr. Baker.
So we did put in place a 48-hour kind of thing where we allow certain people to go and get tested if they want to seek medical advice without cost to them. If they do end up having to quarantine because of that, or we put them on quarantine, then that's what these 10 days are for. That's what it's put in the law.
Right, so, but one person can have multiple, like, exposures, right?
Correct, and you're correct, and so I will make sure I know how I say this. We've had that happen.
Uh-huh.
And I would say a high percentage of the times because they were not following our protocols put in place for safety, social distancing, not wearing their mask when they're supposed to appropriately. And so that's the kind of issues that we run into. And so we do have this in place for those people that we put in the quarantine, but we also have the other leave that's available for them. And so I guess I didn't answer the question because I don't really understand the question.
So my question is, so let's say that one of our employees gets exposed several times in our buildings because of children, right? Because of the work that they do. And we send them home. I don't know if it's happened, but if it's multiple times, at some point they run out of everything. But we're still the ones that are sending them home and the exposures are happening in our buildings doing our work, right?
We found the vast majority of exposures happen outside of work.
Sure.
Happen at family and other events, social events.
Yes.
The other thing too is don't forget that the first part of the FFCRA was if you can provide the employee can work telework for a
Yes,
temporary basis.
which-
we provide that. So we do that quite often.
Right.
So a lot
Because if
of
they're
people-
quarantined, they can still work.
Right.
Okay.
So our definition of exposure, or if you're within 6 feet of a person who's been confirmed positive or confirmed exposed as well, within cumulative 15 minutes within a 24-hour period without a mask. And our protocols indicate always wearing a mask, having your mask on. So if you are following the protocol, and we have some safe protocols. I know from our meeting this morning with Valerie Maldonado from our community labs, we tested about 1,500 that we have results on from yesterday. About 25 of those have come back as asymptomatic. Which is pretty much along the same lines as Somerset is having the same type of numbers that we're having. And we're able to move those folks out of the system so they don't spread it. And so I'm going to tell you, community labs has been a godsend to our school districts, and it's really helped us mitigate so that we can keep options available for parents. But in short, our protocols, if we're following them, no one should be, our employees shouldn't be coming into close. It's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But
But
what
not
we're finding
multiple.
in our conversation with Ms. Maldonado is all of our contact tracing that she is extremely confident and confident in her assessment of this, that the spread is not happening in our buildings.
Yeah.
And so I think, we just need to know from Christmas, from New Year's, from large gatherings, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, it's still we're still gonna deal with some pretty high numbers. But as long as we mitigate them and keep moving people to safety and safe
And our
harbors.
employees are still going to get their 10 days and then plus whatever sick time they have accumulated.
And we were gonna emphasize, if they follow the protocols,
Yeah.
and it's almost, I don't know how you become exposed if you don't
Right.
wear your mask, you're 6 feet apart. We've had cases, even in my own division, where they had quarantined people because they decided to eat lunch for 20 minutes without mask on, and somebody had.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So those are the things that we kind of reiterate.
Yeah.
Make sure that follow the protocols.
Yeah.
Try to keep it safe.
And they'll still be out, but they just won't get paid after they use all their time.
Well, I mean, yes, if there's to a point where they don't have leave, I don't think we have any cases where people. don't have
That
leave.
hasn't happened. And can they borrow borrow it from us?
No, they can have
No.
accrued leave. So if you've been here for a while, you have accrued leave. But if you don't have leave, our local policy doesn't allow people to bank leave or bank it to someone else.
Okay. All righty.
We haven't had any cases, I don't think, where we've docked.
Yeah,
anyone,
it hasn't been a
able to
problem.
dock. We do, and we're very careful. We do a case-by-case basis. If a person is at home because of exposure, but they can still work from home,
And
we're
working.
making those exceptions as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I need a motion.
I just want to make sure the board understands, this is 10 days, whether it's
Continuation.
TSDRA or Southwest ISD, local COVID, as Brandon said, for the 2020-2021 school year. It's not new in addition to what already happened.
No.
I move.
I second.
We have a motion and a second that the board approve this resolution as presented on extended COVID-19 leave. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, now we have items of information, and we're beginning with STEAM.
Yes, sir. We can just move down as they are.
Let me get to 8, the closed session.
Do it when we get to A. Okay.
I'm sorry, what are we doing?
To vote on personnel.
Oh, okay.
Are we ready for the scheme?
Are we ready,
Yes,
Christine?
Steve.
Yes.
So this is item 6A, which is STEAM Academy, and I know that we have our CNI personnel. We also have our principal from Cove Elementary, Tracy Meyer, joining us, as well as other folks to kind of introduce a innovative plan. I know it was discussed in the curriculum meeting the other day. You all have some board representation there, and what we're trying to do, what we've done is partnered with Trinity University in allowing a few of our principals, actually encouraging a few of our principals to get involved in the Trinity School Design Network, where they work in a small group with other principals throughout San Antonio, other school districts, and they collaborate and they work on different ways to come up with a big, hairy, audacious goal or something they want to change. And so Ms. Meyer was our first principal who went through TSDN. Since then, our Bob Hope principal, Brian Marks, is right now engaged in his inaugural year of TSDN, where he's also going through the same type of professional development and opportunities to collaborate with colleagues throughout San Antonio. And the idea is that as part of this process, working with Trinity University and really incredible people like Dr. Flores, who's leading TSDN for Trinity, is that from that experience, you come back and you're able to implement this change in your school community, to support innovation, to create opportunities for parent choice, and whatever your goal or your big thing is that you're working on. So I know this one is a lot of work been done with staff and led by the principal and in collaboration with CNI. Hidden Cove Elementary is looking to introduce a STEAM Academy umbrella over the campus. And so I will turn it over to those folks, the principal, and we have Bea Terrazas, who is the executive director of elementary curriculum, and ask them to kind of go through their presentation. Our goal here today is to be able to present what we're looking at, answer the why we're looking at this. And then as we go through the rest of this school year in preparation, if it's something the board approves and likes, then we have months to kind of work out some of the details. And I'm going to tell you, we did something similar with CASTM. We made some mistakes at CASTM, but we also did some really great things at CASTM that I think, if the pandemic didn't land on it, it'd be a lot different today. But the idea is we know we're going to come out of this in the future, and we want all of our campuses to be working on what their next big thing is that really engages and embraces their school community and innovation at the same time. So let me turn it over to looks like Goya.
Thank you. Good afternoon, board members, Dr. Burstead, senior staff, and thank you for allowing us this opportunity to be able to present to you this item of information. As Dr. Burstead mentioned, this is something that has been planned over the past year, and so very fortunate to also have been part of that CAST planning when it was taking place before it opened, and be able to be also that bridge in helping Ms. Myers plan as she put some of these things into effect last year at her campus. And so we definitely appreciate any questions that you may have forthcoming and any feedback as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Myers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board.
Good afternoon.
We also do have a few panelists that are virtual, so as soon as it's their turn to present, we will go ahead and hand it over to them.
Thank you for allowing me to present today. My journey into looking at a school of choice or a campus that focused on something specific actually started a few years ago over at CNI when I had the opportunity to visit Grand Prairie and see all of their different schools of choice that they offer. It was absolutely amazing to see that. And this past year I was part of the Trinity School Design Network, where I attended Trinity every other Friday and Saturday throughout the whole entire school year and the summer. Also went on different trips to go and see successful schools of choice around the United States and went to conferences to learn more about it. It was great information. I loved every minute of it and went back immediately to the campus and slowly started implementing things. Every time that I went to Trinity, I'd come back excited and ready to implement. So it has been a year-long, over a year process of us going through this, and we've evolved and changed, and we just keep trying to get better and better. These are some of the things that I learned about at the Trinity School Design Network while going through the program. And I'll go ahead and introduce Dr. Flores. He is the Executive Director of the Trinity School Design Network, who's guided me through a lot of this work.
Hello, folks. Can you hear me? Yes?
Yes.
Everybody can? Okay, wonderful. So good afternoon, members of the board, Dr. Versta. First and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me to today's session. We're really proud of the work that Tracy's been able to accomplish going through the Trinity School Design Network. And just to give you folks a little bit of a background in terms of what the Trinity School Design Network is, it was originally established as a K-12 strategic initiative that was developed by Trinity University in partnership with philanthropic support to help organizations, K-12 organizations across the city, to develop innovative school opportunities for marginalized populations across the area. And so the goal is to really help organizations meet their needs in terms of establishing opportunities that look, feel, and sound different than anything else that you might currently have in terms of the offerings that you have. As we all know, K-12 education is changing. The landscape is changing at a rapid pace. There's a lot more competition in our areas and in our own backyards. And so our goal is to help all organizations be able to provide the kinds of solutions that they're looking for. And the program is really centered around the leadership development and empowerment of campus principals as the lead architects in these innovative opportunities. Since the research tells you that school principals are one of the most influential figures in local school communities and the ones that have the most amount of influence in terms of establishing high quality campuses and schools for the communities that they serve. So the program essentially is centered around a 3-year commitment. The first year is comprised of a year-long fellowship where, like Tracy just mentioned, she's been working through the summer or on Fridays and Saturdays. That's a couple of times throughout the month. It totals about a total of about 40 days that are utilized to help on a comprehensive school design. So the bullet points that you see here are the areas of focus that we consider in our school design template. So we're talking about stakeholder-driven mission and vision and empowered school culture and climate. All these other pieces that you see here are what we really focus on to establish a high quality program that then the fellows go back to their home organizations and look to implement and to launch. And so Tracy's done an amazing job. Over the course of the year, she really had an opportunity to work with our best and finest at Trinity University, the Trinity University faculty. We've got content experts from across the country to come and work with our fellows, and also high quality field experiences. And so what you see here, what you're going to see throughout this presentation is the sum total of the collaboration between Trinity University and Southwest ISD through the campus principal, which is Ms. Myers, who was just a pleasure to have in our program and has done a lot of the hard and heavy lifting in getting these concepts off the ground and based all around the community needs and what the community was looking for and asking for. And so I'd be more than happy to answer if anybody has any additional questions about our program at this point.
Do you have any questions for Dr. Flores in reference to the Trinity program?
Well, the only question I've had so far is how many campuses will this be open for in the future?
Okay, the school itself, or you mean
the program?
Oh, yeah. So the program is initially authorized to be a 5-year program. Tracy has went through cohort 1. We're currently in the process of cohort 2, which is where we have Mr. Brian Pinards from Bob Hope Elementary. And so we're currently right now accepting applications for cohort 3. At any given year, we don't take any more than 10 fellows. Year 1 was 4 fellows. In current year 2, we have 7. We're gradually increasing to our top number of applicants that we can accept, which is 10. And that's what we're looking for to establish, for the following school year. And so the current application is open right now. The deadline would be March 31st. And so definitely we encourage, if Southwest is still interested in continuing to send us principals to work with, we definitely encourage them to apply.
Mhm.
So obviously, not every principal will have the opportunity to go through Trinity School Design Network, but the idea is that if we can have a cadre of folks who've been through there, they can kind of become our trainers. I know Alex hasn't committed to, and we're asking him to include Southwest every year for the 5 years. Because he's a good friend of Southwest, I'm sure he's going to go along with that plan. But I hope that answers your questions, Buster.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Dr. Ford.
Thank you, Dr. Florida.
Thank you, folks, for having me.
Okay, so the question is why? Why do we want to do this? Why are we moving it? Why do we want to move in this direction? Well, one reason is the enrollment loss that I know we're always talking about and bringing up, that our students are leaving. They're leaving, and we've got to find a way to keep them. When I looked into research and I started looking through why is it that they're leaving and pulling those leave reports, I found that we weren't just losing 5th to 6th graders, we were losing the whole family. So when their child went from 5th to 6th, and I called and said, what's going on? Why are you leaving? What can we do? Is it something that we did wrong? Can we fix it? It was over and over just, oh no, well, I'm taking my middle school child there, so I'm going to take the little ones with them. Mm-hmm. And so then they pulled the 3rd grader or the kindergartner and they pulled those to go with them. So that was one of the things that I found, is it's not just 5th to 6th, we are losing the whole family when we lose these, the students. The top 3 reasons that I got, because I did call parents and ask them, and I wanted to find out why it was that they were leaving. Anytime that we get the request for records, I have my counselor hold off on them until I call them, find out what's going on. The top 3 reasons were, number 1, they really thought that they offered a smaller class size, smaller environment that they were going to be in. The second reason was just the structure. They wanted less transitions. They liked that they were just going to stay in that same place. And the third one is that they sold them on a strong academic model, which we know that we can do a much better job on. But that's what they did with their PR and their advertising. So another reason is this is a community's choice. The first thing that I learned when going through the Trinity program was to just forget about whatever I wanted to do with the school and just give it all back to the community and say, what do they want? So that's the first thing I did, was start with, what does my community want? What are they asking for? So I sent out surveys, gave them lots of options, law enforcement, do you want to go into a medical field? Like, what did they want? And it overwhelmingly came back with STEM, and we slowly changed it to STEAM when we saw the great interest in art. So that's where it all began, and that's why we're going through this, is the community really has told us that that's what they're looking for and that's what they want. It's going to give a new opportunity to Southwest ISD and the community that we serve. And really, education is constantly changing. Just like the workforce is changing, education evolves and changes with it. So we really just about keeping up with the times and what's going on and what there is to offer, because a lot of other districts and places are offering these things. We need to keep up with it and offer it as well, so that we can make our community happy and give them what they're asking for. So another important part of going through this program, I learned that it is extremely important to make sure that you have a mission and a vision that's aligned. A lot of times a mission and vision is something that's just kind of floating out there that sounds really nice, but it has to be meaningful. And so this last year going through Trinity, I went back to the campus and we really worked on creating a powerful mission and vision that was true to what we believed in and where we wanted to go. So it was a year-long process. This mission and vision continuously was being revised and changed depending on all the different input that we got. And it involved all of our stakeholders, from teachers, students, parents, community business members, all the faculty and staff at Hidden Cove. So we really took it into account, and we really think that this is what we ended up with, and that it really aligns with what we believe we're doing and where we want to go. I'm going to have Mrs. Mata present on this piece. I think I do.
Yes. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Mrs. Mata. I am the new assistant principal here at Hidden Cove. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I've had the wonderful opportunity of just being able to jump in. This was kind of this train was already going when I came in, but luckily with Ms. Meyer's leadership, I was able to jump right in. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the communication and community choice that we here at Hidden Cove know that it's an integral part of what we do here. As Ms. Myers stated, it all started with sending out surveys to the community. With problem-based learning, there's several different pathways that we could take: fine arts, law enforcement, medical. However, like Ms. Myers said, STEM was what our community wanted. And so that's what the team went forth and did, was started integrating pieces of STEM. And so when it comes to communicating with our community, that's important. We want to hear their voice. Their voice matters to us, and we want to take action on the things that they're telling us that they want for their families and their children. As we move forward, what we are proposing is that we partner with district marketing to help us brand and help us really pull just this effectively and efficiently. And so one of the things that we started kind of playing with this year was branding our campus with the STEAM logo. Josh Martinez, one of our aides in our special education area, sketched this out for us. It came out amazing, wonderful work that he's done. Just listening to our leadership and talking about, what does Hidden Cove find important? What does our families find important? And so he came up with these two logos. And so if approved, what we'd like to do is send this out to our community so they can help select what they feel would best represent us here at Hidden Cove. And so the next slide.
It's not letting me. Yeah, I tried. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So as we're developing and as we're working through the kinks and just implementing different things, the academic model obviously is important. Our core business here is student achievement. And so when we're integrating something like PBL, problem-based learning, we really want to incorporate real-world context. And so what we did with the support of CNI, we looked at the Sustainable Development Goals, which were adopted by the United Nations. These are goals that address social and economic issues. And so we use that kind of as our framework. And I believe everybody has a copy of this in their binder. And so we use it as our framework to develop our PBL question. And from there, what's really important to Myers, myself, just the leadership team and the teachers here is that we integrate our TEKS based on our district pacing. So we didn't want to lose sight of that. We know that TEKS and student achievement is, we're building the foundation here at elementary. And so we can't lose sight of that, but we still want to integrate and infuse PBL and just the deep connections that type of learning has for our kids. And so you should have a copy, right, Ms. Myers, of the cross-curricular model that we developed here with under Ms. Myers' leadership. And then of course the teachers started creating this. And I believe Ms. Myers will talk to this a little bit later, but it really has evolved from the first 6 weeks of this year. The more we know, the more you do and the more you know about something, it starts to change the way you address it, right? And so it's become really strong. We're in our 4th 6 weeks. We are planning right now for our 4th 6 weeks problem-based learning project. And so that's where we're at right now. And as we're moving through and developing this unique approach to an academic model, and we make sure that our research-based best practices are integrated. PBL can be really transformative for students, especially for students that don't have the same educational opportunity as others. And so that's why we're making sure that our academic model is strong, it's equity-based, and that it's something that our teachers can get behind. And so to dive a little bit deeper into the why that Ms. Myers spoke to earlier regarding our enrollment loss. So what Ms. Myers did is she went through, she looked at our data on from 5th to 6th, how many students are we losing at each campus? And so right here, what you're seeing is a breakdown of that. So we have total 99 students last year that left us from 5th to 6th. So these are 99 6th grade students that we don't have this year. And like it was mentioned earlier, it's not just the 6th graders we lost, but it's also their siblings. And so with those 99 students, that's over $500,000 in district funding loss. So what we're proposing and what we're presenting today is to really support and really address that need. And things that we've started implementing at Hidden Cove are things that we feel that we could help address this need with our students and something that our community is asking and what they want.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
So if we're losing them at the middle school, what are we doing to address, like, have we put any thought into possibly making one of our middle schools a STEAM? Because it would appear to me that if we're losing them in middle school, then are we hoping that if our elementary is so good that only the middle school kid will leave?
So we have begun conversations yesterday with McCullough. And so even before having a conversation with McCullough, we're looking at the district, the pathways that are on both high schools. So whatever we do design, we want to make sure that eventually it's going to be to strengthen the comprehensive high schools, or even in this case, this particular campus is going to be connected with the work that is happening at CASTEM. So the conversation that is happening with curriculum, career and technology education, they're looking at the different various pathways and what pathways makes best sense in order for us to then create these opportunities in the middle school. So what we've done throughout the years is we've also made sure that the middle schools, they have on equitable electives, where before we used to have, just pockets of excellence. Now we're making sure, and we've been doing that throughout the years, that we've invested enough to where the fine arts is strengthening enough, that the CTE pathways, and this year what we did is, if we have, for example, aviation being offered at Southwest High School, we want to make sure those feeder middle schools have enough information, not just information, but the students are experiencing it in the curriculum in those electives. So now the conversation is, what do we do different in order for the environment to feel different? So the conversation you're going to see in staff was, we do have 4 middle schools. We're not about to create an additional middle school, but what can we do? What can we create as an academy? So we're looking at the resources. We're looking also at how can we infuse a different rigor inside the middle schools as well. So in the past years, I know we've had Springboard, and it was given as a tier 1 to everyone, and then we had, big gaps of instruction. So yes, we are definitely looking at the possibilities of what the middle schools being able to be part of this as well.
Okay, so that's a good answer. My concern is that if we're looking at starting a STEAM academy at Hidden Cove, then at the same time, we should be ready for those kids that are going to get out of the STEAM academy and go into, is it Resnick that they go to?
So the plan in this presentation is for us to also assist CASTEM.
I know, but are all the kids, I may be understanding wrong, but we're saying that you said that we're losing the elementary school kids because the middle school kids leave. So it would seem to me that we would be very focused on middle school, because it's really, they're not leaving Hidden Cove because Hidden Cove doesn't have a good education. They're leaving because their siblings are leaving. Is that what you said?
Right, and so what I can answer that. What our plan is that what we want to do at Hidden Cove is be able to keep them in 6th grade, so they would go to 6th grade and stay there in that same environment, since that's a lot of the feedback we got from the parents was, well, I don't want them transitioning. If they go over here, they stay there until they graduate. So we want to keep them in 6th grade. We had originally thought about all the way to 8th grade, but thought what we can do to 6th, and then one of the ideas is if in 7th and 8th, they only transition once, and they go to 7th and 8th over at CASTEM. then they would stay there the rest of the time. Because that was a big concern of the parents that they said they liked is, well, they just stay in one place. Well, we can offer that too. We might just, they're gonna move once, but then they're just gonna stay there. So in elementary, we'd get them on the right track for PBL. They'd be learning it, doing it, so that when they got to CASTEM, they were prepared and they were ready for that type of learning. that they
Starting in
wanted.
7th grade.
Starting in 7th when they moved
So
that way.
your plan is to make Hidden Cove a feeder just into Caston,
Yeah. A group,
a group?
not the whole school.
And we want to cap it to a certain amount of students. We don't, what our plan is to, a big part of this is that we do not want to try to take enrollment from the middle schools on what they're already getting. We want to specifically target the students that would be leaving anyway. And we have a plan for that on how we plan on targeting those kids. The 6th graders start talking and start saying where they're going and then calling those parents, having those conversations, and then intentionally targeting those families to try to keep them here at Southwest.
So I would also add too, parents today are looking for choice and options. And I spent 10 years at a middle school. And of course, this is back in the day and it's changed a lot since then, I'm sure. At the middle school with 6th graders, what you spend a lot of time doing as a principal is isolating them anyway. And it works. And the students acclimating to that new environment about you're not just in this one class all day, you're going to change classes all day. There's a lot of things that happen that having students at a middle school, 6th graders at a middle school is helpful. Some parents don't like those larger environments and they're looking for a smaller environment, and that's an enticing kind of carrot into an IDEA. For an example, we haven't had to contend much in the competition realm because we haven't had IDA rooftops, but that has changed with over 5,000 rooftops going to be in our district in the next 4 to 5 years. That's attractive, and we're seeing that mobility of them coming from the north, the northeast, and now the pendulum's coming to the south side, and it's already on the south side in some regards. So we've been that donut hole, and we're not that donut hole anymore. And so I know we've been talking about creating thematic opportunities for our elementaries. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. This is not just for Hidden Cove, but Hidden Cove may be the first. Bob Hope may be the second. And the idea is that we work with all of our elementaries over a period of time to develop some thematic opportunities for students to go there. And when we figure it out at the elementaries, what that may be is that we enhance our middle schools. The one thing I think we don't want to do is create like a STEAM middle school, and then there's different feeder patterns with different types of pathways, and they don't feel that they're part of that. The idea is we can have a STEAM kind of strand into McCullough. We can have a fine arts band, which we do at UIL, and those are the opportunities. This program is really honing in on those students who are not looking to be in UIL band, they're not looking to be in UIL football. They're looking to belong to something special where they have an interest in engineering and global logistics, and it's a start. But it's definitely, this is not the end. This is kind of the beginning of something that we want to do with all of our elementary, is create that umbrella of how they want to operate. And when we figure, I think, that out over time with our elementary, then we need to come back into our middle schools. I'm going to tell you, as a former principal at a middle school that isolated 6th graders for their their own peace of mind, the peace of mind of parents, we could do that back then. But now there's just another option right across the street that says, I'm just going to choose this instead. And we know that a lot of our parents would stay with us if they had a choice and an opportunity. So we're trying to create choice. We're trying to create other venues of trajectory for students in the system along the lines of innovation and things. So, yeah.
Well, I think
this may be cast-in feeding today, but not everyone's going to feed into cast-in. That may be different.
I think I don't understand the setup well enough to have asked that question, because I didn't realize you were going to keep the plan is to keep the 6th graders, so.
Yeah, a portion of them. And I think that's going to be part of
the school here. Go on to talk about that here.
Okay.
Well, so looking at, we just pulled some data as we're doing our why, and we're looking at how can we really support the district and address this need. We looked at just data overall as a district in math and reading, compared the district to the state. So I know there's a lot of numbers here, but if we look at just the last row of each chart, we're looking at double-digit decreases from 5th to 6th grade. Most of us know, we all know that that's not unique to Southwest. That's across the state. Whenever students are transitioning from one school to the next, there is a dip. However, when we're thinking about the students that we're targeting here with just an engineering mindset and just the STEM mindset, math and planning with Ms. Schaefer and having lots of conversations about building a pathway for our students so they can be successful at CAS STEM, we were looking at what do we need to do here at the foundational level. And so when we look at our 6th graders, compared to the state, Southwest, there is a need there in math. And in order for our students to be successful in these types of careers and these types of pathways, they do need a strong foundation in math. So this is another area that we just wanted to look at and address and discuss, that we strongly feel that we can support this need that we're seeing here. So then also when it comes to staffing, with a PBL curriculum, integrating the TEKS, that's not an easy feat. I've worked the past 3 years with ELAR and just supporting teachers and all of those pieces. I know that Dr. Flores kind of touched on how principals are an important and integral part of student achievement. They're a big influence on student achievement. The number one influence on student achievement, though, are teachers. And so here we do have strong belief in building our teachers. And so when it comes to staffing for this type of academic and curriculum model, we are in the process of designing, this is work through the Texas Design School Network, of designing a teacher and administrator profile. Right now, that's still in the works. However, through our leadership conversations and just discussions, these are some things that we felt are important when it comes to staffing is every campus member here, every staff member does need to be PBL focused. We hired, Ms. Myers hired a teacher last year that has an engineering background. And so we've been able to glean from him a lot of different things that as we're moving forward and getting stronger with PBL. A growth mindset and being innovative, not afraid to think outside of the box, because those are the type of students that we're really targeting and really want here at Hidden Cove. So I'll pass that back to Ms. Myers.
Thank you. And I do want to say that that was Mr. Battle's slide. He was talking about that. He has been a huge help to us through this whole process. He's been on our team and just met with us continuously on how to refine this and how we could best align it to the STEM TEKS that the state will be putting out soon that they're working on. So again, our main focus here is to really build that pipeline to CAS STEM. We're asking to keep 6th grade at Hidden Cove. Not all of them, of course. We were thinking that we'd cap it at 50 students around there. Of course, if more are interested, we'd have to look into that, but we do have space available for them. Something that we had thought of was if maybe keeping 20 to 25 students from Hidden Cove and then opening the rest of the spots up to other students who we know are going to be, that are interested in going to CAS STEM and giving them that year of preparation at Hidden Cove. We're going to do this through our PBLs and our collaborative learning environments. That's something that I believe strongly in, and something I learned at Trinity too, that if you want a certain product, you've got to create the right environment in order to produce that product. So collaborative learning environments is something that I have implemented at Hidden Cove. Every single classroom has all kinds of different seating for students to choose from. So I've got floor tables, I've got standing desks, wobble stools, just lots of different choices for students. Our cafeteria, I invite you to all come and see our cafeteria at Hidden Cove. I'm very proud of it. It's not a traditional one. We have it to where it's choice seating for students. So we're offering those things to them early in elementary, so that when they get to CAS STEM, they're used to those choices, but we're giving them safe choices that are still controlled, but they're still having the option of, I can go out to the cafeteria and I don't sit in the line. I can go choose where it really does look like a college type of cafeteria is what I tried to create at Hidden Cove. And of course, we've already looked at our master schedule and found a way to make it work. And all of our students would be in honors, math, and ELAR in 6th grade. And then I will let Ms. Reve Schaefer talk about this piece right here on past STEM and the plan, or what we've kind of brainstormed with this piece.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. It's been such a pleasure to work with Ms. Myers and her team, working through that design approach for her campus. It's the same approach that our campus took as well in being designed as CAS STEM. And so what we really hope to be able to bring together to the community is a STEM ecosystem that is a very strong network that is aligned from pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. So as you can see, we have a few ideas about what we think could work. One obviously is building the infrastructure for the ecosystem, which would be the STEAM Academy and as a feeder to CAS STEM High School. Some of the things that we have found to be success factors on the campus are very strong math skills as an underlying factor for all of the pathways for learning at CAS STEM. So recruiting and retaining high quality talent in terms of teachers and also students is really valuable. And so Ms. Myers and I would like to continue working together to strengthen the student experience and to also ensure that we're supporting our staff with a very rigorous approach to instruction through PBL. One of the things too that we really need for our students to be prepared to do is to be college ready very early in their high school career. So we feel pretty strongly that if we can build an aligned experience through their content and skills, then we can also prepare them earlier for the college coursework that they begin their freshman year, and then continue progressing through the pathways throughout their high school experience. And of course, as all factors are considered, TSI is a major factor for college readiness. It is one of the things that determines whether students continue moving through and progressing through their pathways at CAS STEM. So we want to ensure that all students are prepared to the level of readiness in reading, writing, and math. And I think Ms. Myers' plan and her approach is one opportunity to build out the pipeline of students that would be interested in the learning at CAS STEM. So with that in mind, we look forward to continuing our collaboration as we have in doing professional development with our teachers collaboratively and continuing to grow our staff together. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
So again, this is just the work, some of the work that we've already done, and we want to continue working on it and building a really strong foundation. The two things that we are asking for is to officially change our name to Hidden Cove STEAM Academy and to keep 6th grade with us at Hidden Cove and get them prepared to be successful at CAS STEM. And we will end with this video.
Tracy,
Yes.
is that the name change going to be only for the academy students, and you will still be Hidden Cove for the rest of the non-academy students?
Well, we want to change it to everyone for Hidden Cove STEAM Academy because we are starting with project and problem-based learning, starting in pre-K. We're introducing it to our students and just getting them used to those things. So we want to include everyone in it.
Okay, thank you.
So I know this information is really we have to start somewhere, but it's basically to give to our trustees to let you kind of process what you've heard today. Our goal is to continue this conversation as we head into January, February, into the spring, but not end it today. Today is just an introduction. I know one of the sensitive issues would be a name change, so there's other ways to accomplish that as well. So I think what our ask for our trustees is to receive this information, process it, but if you have any questions, you can just shoot them to either myself or to Dalila, and we'll get them to Tracy and her task force and working with them. But I think this is an opportunity. I see it working twofold. When we started CAS STEM, we didn't know a pandemic was going to lay on top of that trajectory, but it's laid on top of all of our lives in some way or fashion, that this could be another kind of feeder of our own students in our own district to start that journey earlier in their school experience and hence therefore stay with it longer throughout their school career to get to middle and high school. And I think it serves that purpose well too. But I think it also creates opportunities for parents to choose us because they have no options. We've noticed over time that our schools in our more aging neighborhoods, they tend to have declining enrollment. And part of this too is to experiment to see if we can attract other folks from either throughout the district who have that same interest and or around us that have that same interest to participate earlier. So
I have a
that's really
comment. I like the idea of having choice for students and parents because I know that our charter schools are heavily recruiting. The other day I went, when I was going home from the meeting, as a matter of fact, I passed by on Marbach and they were recruiting right near the Sonic, behind the Sonic. And I thought, wow, that's kind of far. It was peculiar. But then as I turned on Pure Road, they had another table heavily recruiting, handing out sunglasses and trinkets. And that's, it may not just affect neighborhoods like Hidden Cove, because I think it's going to affect Big Country and Crewald as well. So choice is important at this time.
Okay, is
Or
there any
finish
other
it off?
questions? I'll end with this video.
Okay.
If they don't want. I'm pushing play on it, but I don't know if it's gonna work. Oh, there it goes. Becoming a STEAM Academy will completely change our community as far as the outcomes that we're providing for students. We're positively impacting their education and changing their trajectory to one of success. So the outcome of a STEAM Academy could be life-changing for a student. We can end the cycle that they might be living in right now and have a different future for them and a different outcome and a different life.
I had the opportunity to stay here for middle school, I would, so I'll be familiar with all the people and I can go into catch them, and then after high school and college, I get a good job.
I like projects because they have objects. Objects can make you creative. They can make other people creative too. And creative stuff, it just makes you feel like you want to do it all the time. So it's more funner to play with objects and build stuff like bridges, towers, like cities, even little Legos. So much fun.
Implementing PBL has helped me grow as a professional here because what we normally do is we collaborate just within our grade level. So it would be in my case, fourth grade team, we just collaborate. Okay, what is our project going to look like, this and that. But now what we're having to do is now we're collaborating as a school, it's us and administration and all the rotation teachers. So we're getting input from the librarian, from our specials teachers, fine arts teachers. And so doing all of that collaboration, we're getting ideas from everywhere ourselves. And we're already, our school is very into focusing on the TEKS and making sure we're teaching to the TEKS and that we're implementing best practices. And so now that we're collaborating with other people, not just within our grade level, it helps all of us grow. Obviously, we're still learning, but I've seen the growth there.
PBL has helped me grow tremendously as a professional. It has guided my instruction to lead my students to think critically, give them more control in their learning, and build authentic learning experience.
Last year, Mrs. Myers had the forethought to provide time in our daily schedules for brain breaks. So since then, I've taken full advantage of giving my students these opportunities. We go outside in almost any weather to release physical energy and give them time to socialize. That socialization has helped me create a positive and cooperative classroom culture. I especially saw that these brain breaks were excellent interventions for my kids who need behavioral support. Also, the benefits were immediately clear when we would return to the classroom and the kids are refreshed and ready to learn. So I take full advantage, and we take our brain breaks every day. And I do see a huge advantage as far as creating a positive classroom environment.
I would be honored to continue to work here. As a teacher here, I have seen how successful students are with STEAM. I wish to continue this vision with ACE and provide the skills students need to have a prosperous future, because it is very rewarding to see students take ownership of their learning.
I would love to continue working here if Hidden Cove does become a STEAM academy because, well, first of all, I love seeing the kids being so creative and seeing them collaborate with each other on their projects. The excitement that the kids are making when they're making connections to what they're learning, to the project itself, and all the problem-solving skills that they are doing during the project. It just makes me excited as a teacher because I know that they're learning what it is that we're supposed to be learning in class. And ultimately, I mean, that's what a teacher wants. They want to see their children growing.
I would be so happy knowing that my child would be a part of the STEAM Academy. Knowing that they're doing even more to take his education to the next level makes me so proud to be a member of this community.
Our mission here at Hidden Cove STEAM Academy is to provide an innovative educational experience which meets the needs of modern learners. Our vision statement can be broken down into 3 words, which is encourage, embrace, and elevate. Encourage innovation, embrace non-traditional learning, and elevate student outcomes. And that's something that's posted throughout the school and in every classroom so that we can continuously remind ourselves of what we're here for.
I want my school to be a STEAM academy.
Thank you all once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Thank you, Ms. Rollins.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Dr. Verstuff, it is 1:15. I really would like to get into board policy CW local, if that's okay with the rest of the board, and then maybe we might have to table MDOS. Okay, but before we do that, let's skip down to number 7. I'll need a motion on personnel discuss and closed session.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel as discussed in closed session.
I second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Thank you. 6B, please, Dr. Verstuff.
Is that the policy CW?
The board policy, CW local.
So I know we've had conversation in the past, and I don't know if Nathan's on. And so in the past about, in the event we wanted to name facilities after people who are pillars of the community or any other kind of category of folk. So I know that I've been approached about that. And so one of the first things we do when we do get approached is go look at our local policy about what's there or our legal policy. As I went into our online policy, we noticed that we did not have a CW local, which is what we're bringing for first reading now, that allow us to do the naming of facilities, if that was the intent of the collective will of the board. We don't need a policy CW, because policy basically is a compilation of things that says, when this event comes up, this is how we're normally going to apply, so we put it in policy, so we don't have to bring like 300 items to the board every time we meet. So I think it's in our interest if we do have a CW policy. And so Nathan Cadores, who works in administration human resource, does our policy. And so he did outreach to TSDN. And so I'll turn it over to him to introduce this first reading. There's no action here today. The idea is to introduce it to the board, to answer any questions, and to let the board process this, and we'll bring it to the next meeting as a second reading, if that's the will of the board. So, Joanne, do you want to introduce Nathan, or?
So Nathan has taken over policy and that type of work for the district. And so he has worked with Amy Kapachek, who is our representative from TSDN. And so I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Nathan, who's done a phenomenal job of getting this together very quickly. So Nathan, you can go ahead and take it from here.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, board members, Dr. Verstuft, and everybody present. Thank you for being here and attentive to the information on board policy CW local. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so I can share a presentation with everybody. Can everybody see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so today I'm going to be doing the first reading of board policy CW local. I know that Dr. Verstuft has shared a lot of the background information. So some of the information that I'm going to share with you all today, you may have heard just a moment ago, but I'll go back through some of the information and some of the background behind this. What I've included as part of this presentation is links to the board background for CW local, and then a link to the proposed policy. So that information is available for you to pull up electronically as well. At the time that we began looking at this, of course, there was no current policy in place for board policy CW local in regard to naming schools or buildings within Southwest ISD. So I reached out to TSB Policy Services. They provided us 7 examples of policies from around the state. We reviewed those policies, and we also reviewed some area school districts that we were able to pull up around the area. We coordinated proposals for the superintendent to review and recommend. So the policy that we arrived at basically establishes guidelines for naming school buildings, which would include naming after a person who has served the district or community, service to children, or a local, state, or national heroic figure, or a local residential or geographic area or state or national landmark. Also, if memorializing a person in the name of the facility, the board would not bestow the honor while the person is living, and they must have made a significant contribution to society, public education, and lend prestige to the facility. So there's a recommended process through the proposed policy, and that would be that the board would direct the superintendent to solicit recommendations. That would come from staff, students, residents of the community, and then the board would establish a timeline for that process. The superintendent would appoint a committee to solicit and review recommendations of names. Naming committee is comprised of employees and community members. The committee shall submit to the board 3 recommended names for the campus or facility. And at the end, the board would retain final authority for decisions in naming the facility. At this time, there's no fiscal impact. There's no action to be done, as Dr. Verstuft stated today. This is a first reading of this proposed policy. Okay.
Thank you, Nathan.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Were you done?
Yes, I've completed the presentation. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. This is a sample policy recommended by TSB. As Nathan indicated, they provided 7 samples. This was the one I felt that gave the board most flexibility and absolutely control over the process, so it never gets away. So we bring CW local to the board for first reading and answer any questions that you guys may have at this time.
He said that was it's in our board packet, the presentation that he just gave.
I don't believe the presentation that Mr. Flores just gave, but he can send it to me and I can send it out.
That would be good, yeah.
I think Is it?
It says the language in it, from what I understand.
Yes,
It just, we put it in a presentation format, so it would be
yes,
appropriate for the.
it is.
I know,
But it's in the
reading
board.
the board policy and watching the presentation, that's exactly what's on page
Okay.
101, the CW local.
And again, this is something that's been talked about on and off throughout the 20 years I've been here. It's something to let it soak in a little bit, come up with any questions, and we'll have a second opportunity to discuss, or are we going straight for vote next Tuesday?
Well, next week it'll be on for the second reading. We're required to do 2 readings. You can do 1 reading in the event it's a sensitive timeline. This gives everyone a while to process it, and we'll bring it as a action item next week. And so if there's a motion in a second, then it will go to the board for approval.
What? You're gonna do the reading and the motion the same meeting?
This is the first reading today. The next board meeting, which is January the 19th, to come as an action item. It'll be the second reading and the request for board action.
I guess my question would be, are we comfortable with voting on it next Tuesday, or do we feel that we need to have a broader discussion? I mean, personally, I love the policy. The only thing that I could debate pro and cons is the person can't be alive. I mean, I'll use just an example, no, I won't. But there's a gentleman out there that we could probably name a facility after that's still alive. And to me I would much rather name a building for someone, if he's there, and then have him there and let him, enjoy the building. I mean, that's most of the boards. It's still friends that in the state of Texas that they are now getting buildings named for them, and I get invited to. They're around. There's been a few that have passed, but I don't have a problem, and I can see the debate. Well, what if while still alive he does something like our friend that was locked up, just next door to us. And again, I won't mention name, but I just did.
Sorry.
But, then you take them off, take the name off, would be my answer. So that would be my only concern, or not so much a concern, but the one item that I would maybe push for is into changing. If someone has done your district the service of, being held to where we could name something up, and it doesn't have to be a whole school. It could, it could be a fine arts, Southwest High School Fine Arts Facility,
Sylvester, I think that's worthy of discussion, and I think like that 1 week timeline is kind of short, and if it's something we want to consider having further conversation before we vote, I'm okay with extending it to the following meeting, so we have the opportunity.
And I know the one that's out there right now,
it.
I think we have time and if we decide to name it, I don't think it's something we have to move on right now. They're not going to make the sign next week.
To have a conversation.
So maybe put it on the next brown bag where we can, at the top of the list, where we can have it during more discussion. Would that be okay with everyone
We'll
here?
bring the other samples, so you guys can have a review of them as well. When we do go to a second reading, we can bring 2 alternates, one that says exactly what it says, and another one that just takes that sentence, remove that sentence out. This is your policy. So you guys need to be comfortable making it. But what it does is allows us to bring recommendations under the policy.
And that would give the current board the option. I mean, if as it is right now, the current board would not have an option, so other than to change the policy first.
Yes.
So, okay. So if it's okay with everyone, we'll put it on the next brown bag as the top item, and we'll have further discussion on it. Okay, and like I said, it is now 1:26, and we'll also put the item of MDOS.
Yes,
My apologies.
Seems like we
I don't know
did,
who is going to present there, but sorry, Joanne, but we're out of time. I promise you, we'll work on our timelines. I'll if anybody has any,
You know what, and I wanted to make a small statement, and it'll only take me a few minutes.
okay,
And I know that they have more presentation, but I can do that now, and that way that's out of the way.
yeah, we're not going to do the next presentation.
Right, but it is,
Okay.
is it okay? It's in regard to that, but I wanted to address it at a more macro level, because I think the last time we did, I wasn't prepared, as well prepared as I would have liked, and I feel like I did get into the weeds a little bit. And so I put some thought into what I was trying to express. And I do want to have the opportunity to do that right now. It'll only take me a few minutes. So several years ago, with student outcomes in mind, we began having conversations about creating frameworks that were systemic and structured that would lead to improved and consistent student outcomes. The goal being that the district would have a template and continue to operate successfully even as our professionals were hired, transferred, or retired. Also, that professionals that work at Southwest are plugged into a collaborative culture that is continuously developing them. Everyone doing their part, supporting each other in the service of children in our community. Over the last several years, as part of the curriculum subcommittee, we have seen this work evolve within the department. Frameworks are being created, systems are being put in place. We're very happy with the direction and the pace of the work. We are concerned that this position that is housed in another department will create a parallel lane that is not in sync with the current work. It is imperative that all instructional leadership development with the principals go through and be vetted by the C&I department in order to make sure that it fits within the existing framework that is under development. So I just wanted to clarify what I was trying to say at the last meeting, and also do it from a policy level, from the macro level. Thank you.
Thank you. And
Do you want us to get into this, or do you want us to table this? I mean, it's not like an emergency.
Yeah, table it for the next brown bag.
Yeah.
Table it for the next brown bag. Okay, and just real quick, as board president, I get some mail, and one of the items I got is there's another charter school that is applied in our area. And I was looking at the name of it. It was Revolution. I just saw that.
Yes, it is.
Revolution, right? Which is a name that kind of, Revolution Public Schools.
Yeah.
And their address is being out of Converse, Texas, but they are applying to affect us. Are you answering this?
I'll be honest with you, we've answered for the last 5 years every one of those, and we always check the box that says, yes, it would have a detrimental impact.
I think we just need to continue.
Our state school, and I believe they're all followed in the trash can after that.
What are they? I'm sorry, I've lost y'all.
Well, anytime a charter school applies in your backyard for permission to open,
okay.
They have to give all of the schools in the area the opportunity to fill out this little questionnaire. And and like you said, it gets filled out, but where it goes from that, we don't know, because the charter school still gets opened.
Does it have property in mind already?
Pretty much.
Is there property in mind already, or it's just, at this point, just an application?
They indicate the actual address on there. They indicate that this is a charter school that's applied through the Commissioner of Education for an application, and you have the opportunity to indicate whether or not this would have a impact on your enrollment. I know every district, I'm very confident every district in Bear County checks. Yes, it would have an impact. No one cares beyond that.
They all know that.
We send them the PEA.
But let's just continue doing what we're doing. And then the last thing I have is, there's a book, Seats at the Table, School Board Members' Perspectives on Race and Racism. It was interviews of board members across the states. I know New Mexico, Colorado, California, Texas. And I've been blessed with, I have a chapter in here where it's titled Education is the Answer by Sylvester Lizalde Vasquez Jr. So I'm going to give this copy to Dr. Verstuff, and I have ordered copies for the rest of the board members. And if anyone else would like one, let me know, and I'll get you a copy.
Thank you.
But it's,
So you're gonna autograph it?
yeah.
There'll be a autographic
But
party outside.
it's pretty cool, you
Sir,
know.
on this one, you know what the timeline is when you're coming back at this?
I'm pretty sure we're gonna be coming back to every brown bag. It would be, I know in our senior staff, we talked exactly about that question, and really standing items, so we can have those conversations every week. And then we'd like to bring it back to some capacity, not holistic, but take a part and parcel of it, bring it back for another conversation. This is about feedback. This is our workshop to gather feedback. Well, 90% of it is, every now and then we can do some action items. But every brown bag, I would say, that could be a part of it.
Okay. I want to thank everyone for your, oh, I'm
If I have
sorry.
questions, sir, do I shoot them to you?
Go ahead.
Shoot them to like, so that way y'all know the questions I'll be asking.
Yes.
about this every time?
Yes.
That's cool.
Okay, and I want to thank everyone for your patience. I'm going to close this meeting at 1:31.
Okay, I do have one more thing up. I want to make sure I announce to the board that Monday, January 18th is a district holiday, MLK Day. We do have a board meeting a week from today, January 19th. And I know that I asked you guys, okay, to do kind of a board workshop, innovate training on January 27th and January 28th. And then on January 29th is the pending groundbreaking. And we'll put all this in the email. Is the groundbreaking ceremony right next to McCullough in the auditorium, where the bulldozers already are. So we can do that at 11:30 on the 20th. So I hope you guys don't mind seeing me for a lot at the end of it. And I also would like to announce the personnel action item, and it will be part of our minutes, that the board did approve the hiring of Spikewood Elementary Principal Gaffer DeLeon to become the new principal of Resnick Middle School, replacing the vacant position by the retirement of Jay once he was. And so congratulations to Gaspar and to Resnick. I think they're going to be a really great partnership and continue to do great things at home in the Jets. So, great stuff. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.